The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told his companion Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, "Lo arad Allahu an la yu'sa ma khalaqa al-iblis." He said that if Allah never intended to be disobeyed, Iblis would never have been created. This hadith is authentic, collected in Imam Al-Lakai's book. He said if Allah never intended to be disobeyed, Iblis would never have been created. Think about that for a second. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He warns us in so many verses in the Quran that we have a staunch adversary. We have an enemy whose purpose is to have us disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in so many ways, in so many fashions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, don't you see that we have sent the shayateen, meaning the devils, against the disbelievers to push them to do evil? This goes back to the verse. This goes back to the hadith. Lo arad Allahu an la yu'sa ma khalaqa iblis. If Allah never intended to be disobeyed, Iblis would never have been created. So look at the disbelievers, the kuffar. The shayateen, they encourage them to go further and further and further astray in their evil, in their disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah also says in another verse, so verily the pagans, verily you pagans, and those whom you worship, meaning the idols, cannot lead astray any one of the believers except those who are predestined to burn in hell. Those people who choose the path of misguidance over the path of guidance, then for sure they have taken the devil as their companion and they are destined to burn in hell. Another point of wisdom connected to the creation of Iblis, Allah said in the Quran, and we have assigned to them devils, intimate companions in this world, who have made fair seeming to them what was before them, meaning their evil deeds which they were doing in the present worldly life, and disbelief in the reckoning and resurrection. And what was behind them, meaning the denial of the matters in the coming life of the hereafter, as regards to punishment or reward. And the word, the torment, is justified against them as it was justified against those who were among the previous generations of jinn and men that had passed away before them. Indeed, they all were the losers. Shaitan, his purpose in creation is disobedience. This is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created him as a test for you and I, to see where our iman was, where our iman is, where are we going, what are we doing, are we worshiping Allah sincerely, are we committing shirk, are we disobeying Allah? Shaykh Rabi al-Madkhali hafidhullah ta'ala, he said, whoever Allah has decreed misguidance, misery and disbelief for, He sends Satan to them in order to make kufr, shirk, misguidance, and injustice appear fair seeming. So the guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You and I, we don't have the ability to guide whom we love. We don't have the ability to guide whom we wish to have guidance for. That is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. And if He decrees misguidance for that purpose, then He uses the devil, He uses Satan to make what? Misguidance seems beautiful. He makes misery, He makes disbelief, He makes all of these things and injustice seem beautiful to Him. My brothers and sisters, Allah created the devil, Satan. And understand that Satan is the main ingredient of evil, whose wickedness spreads everywhere in this world. Our adversary's evil corrupts belief. It causes us to have doubt. arouses our desires, our shahwa. It causes us to look at the haram. See, understand that the devil is the master of deception. He's the master of propaganda. Propaganda is one-sided coded messages to make a person or make people feel a certain way. Remember that Satan was the one who got Adam alayhi salam out of Jannah. Out of Jannah. Think about that, a place that you and me, we strive for. We hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow us to be his neighbor in Jannah. Adam alayhi salam was there. And Allah told him, He told him and Hawa, don't go near this tree. And Shaitan, the devil, he came with his propaganda. And he whispered to them. He whispered to Adam first, as some of the Mufassireen have said. That he whispered to Adam first, and Adam, he didn't accept it. And when Adam was away, he whispered to Hawa. He whispered to Eve. And told her, the only reason that you are prevented from eating from this tree, because you will have angelic beings. This is why. And they forgot Allah's command. So following their desires that one time, look at what it decreed. Look at what happened. So when Adam alayhi salam came back, Eve told him that I ate from the tree and nothing happened. So when Adam did it, this is when the calamity befell. Don't be deceived by Iblis. Understand his purpose of creation is to get you and I to disobey him. Understand your enemy. Know who your enemy is. When you know who your enemy is, when you know what your enemy comes with, when you know what he has as weaponry, then you're able to prepare a good defense and defend yourself. So when Adam and Eve, they disobeyed Allah by following their desires and listening to that one-sided propaganda message that Iblis gave them, it caused them to be expelled from Jannah. It caused them to be expelled from Jannah. So think about it. If it was that simple for the master of deception, the one who's created for misguidance, to get our mother and our father out of Jannah, then how easy is it going to be for him to get you and I to go to hell with him? Do you want to go to hell? Do you want to burn? You want to be with those people who disbelieved in Allah? You want to be with those people who took shirk, who followed bid'ah as a way of belief and practice in Al-Islam? Then know that the devil, this is his goal. Satan is the main cause for the slave's misery and actions that anger Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, rahimahullah, he highlighted some of the most important reasons behind Satan's conception. The first one is to show the servant the omnipotence of Allah, the Most High. In His creation, He has created and fashioned opposites that encounter each other. Allah created Satan, who is the wickedest of existence and the reason for all evil. And on the opposite side, He created Jibril, alayhi salam, who is the most noblest and the purest of creation. The angel Jibril is a factor for the well-being of the slave in this life, because he is the one who brings revelation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the night and day. He's created hot and cold. He's created water and fire, the sickness and the cure, life and death, beauty and ugliness are all notable signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness. The beauty of a thing, my brothers and sisters, can only be identified through its opposite. And this is among the strongest proofs for Allah's complete greatness, His might, His authority, His power over the universe. Allah has created these opposites that encounter each other. The Most Wise created these things in order to direct our attention to His existence, the signs, for you and I to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, and then to contemplate over the wisdom of His creation. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open our hearts to allow us to recognize He is the Most High and the greatest. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على الخير النبي ومرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Allah completes the various levels of worship for the saints, the people of His awliya Allah, the holy people, those people who are God-fearing, those people who are righteous and pious. And this takes place from the struggle against Satan and his soldiers. How does that happen? They irritate them through the worship of Allah and seek refuge against his plots. We have to seek refuge against the plots of Satan constantly. One of the ways to get your enemy to subdue, to surrender, is through obedience to Allah. The devil dislikes obedience. His soldiers, they dislike obedience to Allah. So through these acts of obedience, we as servants were able to achieve well-being in this life and in the hereafter. We have to have love. We have to be repentant. We have to have reliance, tawakkul, on Allah. And exercising patience is amongst the most beloved acts of worship to Allah the Most High. This is why the ulama say there's nothing or the best deed of qurb, of drawing closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is through fasting. It's through fasting. The results of these acts of worship can only be realized by struggling against evil and making sacrifices for Allah's love and everything else. The creation of the devil is a reason for these acts of worship to subdue our desires, patience, tawakkul, trust in Allah. Ibn Al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, he goes on, he says the creation of Satan is a reason to go through hardships. Satan is a touchstone. He's a touchstone to test the human being. It's through these tests the wicked and the righteous are distinguished. You want to know the khair from the shar? It's through the test of Satan. Allah created different kinds of people in this world, my brothers and sisters. There are some people who are injurious, who cause harm to you and I, whether through their tongue, whether through their companionship, whether through listening to them. There are some people who just bring us harm in our worldly life and in our religious affairs. And then we have on the other side some people who are completely harmless. So it's a must for you and me that we take precaution. Because the people who are tested with the devil and they fall due and they fall victim to his whispers, then these people, their true colors, they manifest to you and I. To produce an outcome for Allah's servants regarding His names and their meanings. Ibn Al-Qayyim said this is what this does. One of Allah's names is Al-Rafi. Al-Rafi. Al-Rafi is the one who rises, lifts, and exalts His servants as He wills in this life and the next. This is one of Allah's names. Al-Rafi. The next one, Al-Khafid. This is the one who humiliates the oppressors and tyrants, lowering their ranks due to their evil speech and actions. Their life in this world is darkness, and then in the next life it's misery. Another one of Allah's names is Al-Mu'izz. Al-Mu'izz. This is the one who honors whomever He pleases from amongst His servants. Another one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names is Mudhil. Al-Mudhil. This is the one who abases or humiliates whoever he pleases. Another one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names is Al-Hakim. This is the one whose promise there should be no doubt at all, and in whose action there is no single fault. Another one of Allah's names connected to the creation of Shaitan that we see and recognize is Al-Adl. The one who is above oppressing or being showing injustice to anyone in his decrees and actions. Satan's existence is a reason for the effect of these names to be manifest. You see it. The person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised his status is the one who has completely turned away from Satan, who has completely turned away from him. If all of creation were obedient, then these names wouldn't be manifested. These names, Allah's names, wouldn't be manifested. Another reason Ibn Al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah mentioned for the creation of Shaitan is to extract the good or the evil from man's nature. He said the son of Adam's nature is made up of upright and bad character, and righteous and unrighteous behavior. This nature of the human being is concealed the same way fire is hidden in fire still. He said the devil's existence causes evil people to act according to their true nature. Allah sent prophets as a basis for the people of righteousness to act kindly. The best of judges draws out the character of the upright and wicked in order to execute his judgment for the acts he knew they would commit. You know, sometimes a person's true nature is hidden to you and I, but it's not hidden to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. And as you companion that person, as you get to know that person, who he really is or who she really is, it becomes clear to you that they're one way on the outside but totally different on the inside. As Ibn Al-Qayyim once said, that if you want to know the true nature of a person's heart, then his tongue can give you a taste of that. And likewise, the reality of your companion, the reality of the son of Adam, nature becomes manifest through his actions, through his belief, what he says. Ibn Al-Qayyim, he said, Satan's existence allows the signs and the wonders of Allah to be manifest. He said, a wonder occurs as a sign of Allah due to the disbelievers' actions and their denial of Allah. Among some of the signs and wonders of Allah is the flood of Noah, the wind that punished Ad, the destruction of Thamud and Lut, the fire cooling for Ibrahim, and the signs that were given to Moses. If the disbelief of the kuffar and the atheists wasn't decreed, then these signs and these wonders and miracles wouldn't have happened. In conclusion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's granted Iblis respite. He's given him until the day of judgment. And this is not in his honor. It's in fact in his disgrace. Sometimes a person is given a time period to rectify his affairs, to rectify his situation. Maybe you're on the job and the boss puts you back on probation because he's unsatisfied with your performance. So he gives you 90 days, he gives you 30 days, he gives you 6 months to get your affairs right. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the devil until the day of judgment, and there's no way for Iblis to rectify his affairs because it's been decreed for him to go to hell. So why is this a punishment for him? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala delaying Satan's punishment until the last day, a punishment for him? It's so that he can earn more punishment and be punished more severely. Allah, remember my brothers and sisters, has made the devil, has made Satan a benchmark to distinguish between the pious and the immoral. So ask yourself today, who are we taking as a companion? Who are we following? Understand, Satan, he comes through many doors. He comes through whispers. He comes through making disobedience appear beautiful. Understand that Satan is the master of propaganda. Understand that Satan is the master of deception. He comes through kufr. If he's unable to get you to disbelieve in Allah totally, then he comes through another door, the act of bid'ah, innovation, practicing acts of worship that weren't legislated by the Prophet ﷺ or practiced by his companions. If he's unable to come through that door, sometimes he might send to the men women. This is one of his greatest tools to get you to fall into that ma'asi. If he's unable to come through that door, he comes in through another door, causing you to waste your time. He has so many doors to lead you and me to the hellfire. He came through one door and got our father and mother out of Jannah. So how easy is it going to be for him to get us? So remind yourselves today to stay on your P's and Q's. Be obedient servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, publicly and in private. Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qulubana ala ta'atik.